Good evening, dear viewers. We apologize for the delayed news broadcast because of the extended interviews we conducted with international guests at the National Wheat and Maize Conference. We would like to inform you also that the interviews will continue this news broadcast. We proceed with the stories making top headlines this evening. Minister Osman Saleh addresses 3 summits in the UN headquarters. National Wheat and Maize Conference concludes with tour to development sites. China reiterates ceasefire, peace talks, only way to end Ukraine war. Countries in Africa struggle to keep pace with rapid urbanization. Welcome back. Mr. Osman Saleh, Minister of Foreign Affairs, addressed the 3 summits in the UN headquarters, including the Ministerial Summit of the Least Developed Countries, UN High-Level Meeting on the Universal Health Coverage, as well as the Preparatory Ministerial Meeting for Summit of the Future. In his address to the Ministerial Summit of the Least Developed Countries, Minister Osman said that this year's ministerial meeting is taking place at a time when collective commitments are being tested by various predicaments in which intertwined global crises, including but not limited to climate calamities, drought, flooding, public health, pandemics, unprovoked wars and geopolitical tensions, are posing serious threats to humanity, and that the direct victims are those who are already deprived and marginalized, and more evidently the least developed countries. At the national level, Minister Osman said that Eritrea has set out sectoral and industrial strategic plans, and necessary mobilization of resources and implementation measures have been undertaken, and its development strategy is based on the principle of self-reliance and social justice, which obviate debilitating structural dependency to attain sustainable and equitable development. Minister Osman also called for the existing international financial architecture to be reformed to effectively respond to the needs of the developing countries. In his address to the UN High-Level Meeting on the Universal Health Coverage, Minister Osman said that Eritrea attaches great importance to the promotion of universal health coverage and is one of the countries that achieved the health-related Millennium Development Goals, the MDGs, and that life expectancy has increased dramatically. Infant and maternal mortality rates have declined remarkably, and HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria deaths have been greatly reduced. Consistent with the objectives of the SDGs to leave no one behind, Eritrea is making progress towards the achievement of universal health coverage, and the target for 2026 is expected to grow significantly. Minister Osman added. In his address to the preparatory ministerial meeting for the Summit of the Future, Minister Osman said that the future of humanity and our planet at large is indeed shaped by past and current challenges, and humanity is confronted with multidimensional crises, including climate change, environmental disasters, geopolitical tensions, conflicts and instabilities, health crises, and rife inequalities. And against this backdrop, the need to convene a summit for the future is imperative as we ponder to rescue and accelerate the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. The underlying injustice and inequalities among societies and nations need to be rectified, the minister concluded. A tour of development sites in the southern region marked the conclusion of the National Wheat and Maize Conference, which began on September 20 at the Asmara Palace Hotel under the theme Strong Effort to Ensure Improved Wheat and Maize Seeds. Participants from Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, Zambia, Ireland and Ethiopia who attended the national conference, as well as representatives from agricultural research organizations and institutions, visited the agricultural development in the Imna Haile subzone and the Halhala National Agricultural Research Institute, and received briefings from the program coordinators. According to the attendees, holding similar conferences will significantly contribute in the revision of policies, enhancement of research initiatives and monitoring, growth of agricultural advancements, sharing of experiences, and providing farmers with equal chance. They also expressed their pleasure with the planning and execution of Eritrea's National Wheat and Maize Conference. At the conference, 22 research papers were presented, including wheat production in Eritrea and future trends, wheat production and breeding in Africa, current status and future prospects, hybrid maize seeds production technology in Eritrea, breeding and developing climate-resilient maize varieties in sub-Saharan Africa, water and nutrient demand management practices on wheat production in Eritrea, among others. And the participants conducted extensive discussion on the research papers presented. "60 vegetable farmers in the Agordat subzone attended a training session organized by the Regulatory and Supervision Division of the Gash-Barka region, which focused on ensuring the safety of both humans and animals' food. Indicating that safe food is the foundation for remaining healthy, Mr. Saara Abraham, head of livestock development, urged the farmers to understand the importance of the training and put into practice. On his part, Mr. Tesfa Burhan Gabrazgi, head of seed resources supervision, briefed the farmers extensively on the harmful effects of pesticides on food and the environment and urged them to forego using dangerous pesticides in their farming operations. Head of the regulatory agency in the region, Mr. Hagos Gabra Mariam, asked for solemn control over pesticides, regulation of packaged food, and for vegetable producers to pay due attention to expert agricultural guidance in their routine agricultural endeavors. That was our domestic news. Please stay tuned now for the international news right after the short break. China has reiterated its position that a ceasefire and peace talks are the only way to end the war in Ukraine. Visiting Moscow this week, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi told his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov that China would uphold an independent and impartial position on Ukraine as it tried to find a political settlement to the issue. Beijing's effort at mediating a resolution to the conflict have made little progress amid skepticism about its professed neutrality given its deepening ties with Russia. Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Moscow in March, where he met Vladimir Putin and discussed a new era of cooperation, while Putin has accepted an invitation to visit China next month. The number of people living in urban areas in Africa will double to more than 1 billion by 2042, according to World Bank estimates. The continent is urbanizing at a rate not seen before. By 2040, Africa will be home to 9 megacities, hosting more than 10 million people. Luanda, Dar es Salaam, Khartoum, Johannesburg, and Addis Ababa are some of the cities headed for megacity status, joining Lagos, Kinshasa, and Cairo. Cities are key to driving trade, investment, and GDP growth, but rapid urbanization have created capacity problems for cities, and local governments are struggling to plan, provide infrastructure, public transport, and other social services. That was our news. Please stay tuned now for a recap of tonight's headlines. Mr. Osman Salah addresses 3 summits in UN headquarters. National Wheat and Maize Conference concludes with tour to development sites. China reiterates ceasefire peace talks, only way to end war in Ukraine. Countries in Africa struggle to keep pace with rapid urbanization. And that was our news for tonight, dear viewers. It is good night from us.